Ben Young has set the pace here on the Van Dolder Honda, but the pressure is building and the field is coming for him. Can he keep his cool and hold them off?
Marshall Ferguson alongside Andrew Nelson as we are here at Superbike, Nova Scotia, Atlantic Motorsport Park, and in the GP Bikes Pro Superbike feature class, the Van Dolder's home team Honda is once again at it. Ben Young, he takes the first two races at Shannonville Motorsport Park in round number 1, and he follows it up with pole position here on the East Coast.
Yeah, Ben's consistently fast at this track. He picked up where he left off. Not real surprised with him, but Jordan did have his struggles on through the qualifying on a slightly underperforming engine, but he'll look forward to rebound. His team worked really hard to get him a good engine for the race, so that could really set up things a little bit differently because Jordan was looking forward to this engine. So I think Jordan's going to have something ready for him for today's race.
Ben Young does indeed take the BS battery pole position as you see the number 1 plate back on top right there, but Torrin Collins interesting back in 3rd place on that Yamaha R9, Andrew.
Great to have him back up in Canada, riding the number 1 plate in the Super Sport class, but great effort to get him up onto 3rd place on that R9. First time we're seeing a fast R9 come into Canada.
Great to see the pace that he has had as we see the rest of the field. Mackenzie Wheel and that Snow City Kawasaki as well as Matthew Simpson qualifying pretty well. Connor Campbell, unfortunately, in the lead up to this event earlier on in the Atlantic Motorsport undertaking, injured and not able to partake as we get a chance to look around Atlantic Motorsport Park. And Andrew, this place is incredibly difficult to get around.
Well, they call it the roller coaster for a reason, right? It's great elevation change, real bumpy technical course, lots of different changes in pavement. We'll see some good passes usually going into turn 1, sometimes some pretty good dive bombs between 2 and 3, and then you kind of hold on for a big ride between 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and we'll see what these guys can line up and do, knowing that Jordan's got a nice strong engine here that they were able to get into the bike in the morning.
As they get set on the grid, you see Torrin Collins making sure he's in the right spot on that front row alongside Jordan Zoke. Ben Young out in front. We'll see if he can get the launch away off of the line. As in behind in row 2, it's David McKay and Andrew Van Winkle staring down 20 laps of GP Bikes Pro Superbike feature class action here in Shubenacadie, Nova Scotia. As the KD Group lights are on, and they're away. We are full throttle in Nova Scotia as they head towards turn number 1. Great launch by Zoke, and now down the inside comes Torrin Collins as you see McKay and Van Winkle trying to tighten up, and it looks like Alex Michel has made a great move. Meanwhile, it's Zoke to the bottom of the hill in turn 2 as Young goes back underneath Torrin Collins. Up the hill they go into turn number 3, and they're sorting themselves out as Young takes a bit of a look down the inside, but we'll wait for now.
Ben just seems to be able to turn that bike a little bit tighter already in the early part of the race, but you kind of expect these two guys to run away based upon the pace that they had throughout the weekend so far.
Zoke continuing to control as they head down the roller coaster for the first time here. And it is Ben Young with that suspension dialed in thanks to Willie Vass that's been working with him throughout his campaign and his career here in Bridgestone CSBK. And Torrin Collins giving chase, doing everything he can on that R9. And this is the type of track, Andrew, where a super sport machine can do a lot of damage due to the lack of a long straightaway like we see at Motorsport.
This is probably one of the only tracks in Canada that really the super sport bike is able to hang on to the Superbike as Torrin looks for a passer up the inside on Ben and makes it stick right going to the last corner. Great pass by him, little outside to inside and the switchback, but this is the only straightaway here where the Superbike is easily able to power by, but the ability of a super sport bike and a good strong rider is able to hang with the fast super bikes around here.
You know where Torrin Collins wants to try and take advantage. You see the chatter at the bottom of the hill there as Collins almost having to catch the bike down on his knee as well. But yeah, Young knew he could loop back underneath Collins and take advantage of the power of that CBR 1000 RR-R SP. The Fire Blade on full display on the front straight, and now trying to put the throttle down and go catch the Canadian Kawasaki motors of Jordan Zoke. Down the back straight they go once again, and this is the lowest point of the track in a layout that has a significant change in elevation from turn 6 all the way back to turn 10.
The elevation is a lot of fun here. A lot of blind corners. Not sure where you're going to go in some areas, especially if you're trying to make different passes and you hit the wrong line and you hit a bump and bounces you offline a little bit. But Jordan is really good at this track in terms of just being able to make the track a little shorter. He doesn't do the big long sweeping lines. He does a lot more of a point and shoot type setup to everywhere, so it makes it a lot harder to pass Jordan, and he's always been so good on the brakes going in so deep that it makes it very difficult for Ben to figure out where he's going to try to put the pass on Jordan.
Drop down the hill into turn number 1, bit of a wider line from Young and even wider from
Here he goes.
Collins, and now it is Young down the hill into turn number 2 as he picks off Jordan Zoke, and he gets the lead back under control as David McKay and Andrew Van Winkle trying to hang on this lead group of 5, and we get a look at the move here down the hill into 2.
Yeah, Ben just setting it up to go around the outside so that he'll have the inside going into turn 2, which is a perfect setup for this place, and he executes it perfectly, just being able to dive up the inside of Jordan. Just a standard out braking, giving him lots and lots of space, but hitting some heavy bumps in there, so keeping the front end good under control, tuck the front a little bit.
The third race of the GP Bikes Pro Superbike feature class this year, but it's the number 1 plate out in front. Portions of the Bridgestone Canadian Superbike Championship are brought to you in part by Canadian Kawasaki Motors, Pro Cycle, and GP Bikes, Canada's Power Sports Authority. Closed captioning for the Bridgestone Canadian Superbike Championship is brought to you in part by EBC Brakes and Clutches, Gulf Race Fuels, and Scorpion EXO. Welcome back as we are celebrating round number 2 of the Bridgestone Canadian Superbike Championship season. This round brought to you by Pro Cycle and Canadian Kawasaki Motors at Atlantic Motorsport Park. Love this track and love this battle that's developing up at front as Ben Young, Jordan Zoke, and Torrin Collins on the Supersport machine, the Yamaha R9, are ripping around right now, looking to conclude lap number 4.
Nice to see 3 different manufacturers as well in the top 3 between Honda, Kawasaki, and Yamaha. Obviously, the Yamaha not being a full superbike, it is a super sport bike, and Torrin's riding the wheels off the thing to keep up to these guys.
Dropping 63 feet in elevation from turn 1 down to turn 2. That you see it there. I can't imagine, Andrew, what that feels like on one of these machines. Wait a minute, you know. I mean, the G-forces that you get going down that hill from 1 to 2, it's got to be just a wild feeling.
It's the biggest part is when you get on the brakes, right? You're coming down from such a high-speed turn, and then you get on the brakes. It's super hard braking on the on big bumps as well. You really feel a lot of G-forces through the arms and through the bumps.
Some of the slow-mo shots that our great Bridgestone CSBK crew have gotten as well, whether it's on the roller coaster at the bottom of turn 2 here, you really do see just the massive amounts of chatter and bumping and all the rest that happen as we go on board with Jordan Zoke, and you see Ben Young on that Van Dolder's home team Honda ahead of him, just absolutely riding the bumps and the waves as they make their way through the 6, 7, 8 complex down into turn number 9.
It really shows the guys that have, got great suspension first off and how they were able to set the bike up, but also guys that are really comfortable in these bumpy situations. But they just kind of get used to it, right? Lap after lap, putting it in and doing the work that's required, which is way different than a lot of the other tracks. You're just dealing with probably a little bit more inconsistent lap times because a bump can really, as you see here, Jordan going a lot wider than the other 2 guys. That happens, right? Then you're going to find the next corner to make it up. So consistency is key, but here you kind of expect to not see as consistent as Van Winkle looks like he put a hard pass on David McKay going into turn 2.
Yeah, he definitely did, and that's something that we saw in the Pro Supersport category from Andrew Van Winkle last year several times over. Sebastian Tremblay on the ST Motorsport Suzuki ended up having a little bit of Van Winkle thrown down the inside in that exact spot. He's doing it again here in the GP Bikes Pro Superbike feature class. Van Winkle so impressive throughout his young career in Pro Superbike, moves up into 4th spot as Ben Young on the all-time Superbike list, getting ever closer to Steve Crevier.
Steve Crevier being an absolute legend, both in Canada and the U.S., super well-liked racer all across North America, and Ben has this opportunity to win this race and to tie Crevier. That would be a super cool accomplishment for him.
Yeah, it's one of those as well where you kind of put the historical significance and you go, well, Young's been kind of dominant for a while. It's like, well, not for a while, for a significant period of time, as the man who's way up the road there, Jordan Zoke, on the AIM Insurance Kawasaki, heads back down the hill once again and doesn't look like close enough to throw it down the inside in turn number 2. So Young picks up the throttle, and man, he is, I mean, the amount of lean angle that they get coming through the bottom of 2, climbing up the hill into 3 is something to watch.
This is great onboard footage to just see how bumpy it actually is, and you can see Ben's body moving around, the bike kicking around. These guys are holding on to 200 horsepower bucking Broncos around this track, which is not easy to do. It's an extremely physical track, so it's one of the tracks that the guys get the most tired as well. With all the bumps, the G-forces, the ups and downs, and the bike twitching every which way all the time, the guys are tired after this race, so they don't really get the chance to go into conserving any energy. There's no breaks. You're always turning. You never have a straight up and down long straightaway here to catch your breath. So it's a physically demanding track, and these three guys are probably the best in condition out of everybody here.
And we're thankful for that fantastic shape that they are in, bringing us great racing as we continue at Atlantic Motorsport Park. Welcome back to round number 2 of the Bridgestone Canadian Superbike Championship season. It's brought to you by Pro Cycle and Canadian Kawasaki Motors as Ben Young continues to control out in front of Jordan Zoke. Torrin Collins is on the final step of the podium as it stands right now, but you see a bit of a gap opening up here, Andrew, and maybe Collins struggling to latch on to the pace that's being set in these midway laps by Young and Zoke.
Well, like I said earlier, it's hard for the Supersport to get around here and keep up with the Superbike, just because the Superbike can always pull that little bit of a gap on, this straightaway that they're on right now, going into turn 1 and a little bit down the roller coasters. But I mean, he's still only a second back. He's putting in a fantastic effort on that R9. But Jordan looks like he's just kind of starting to size up Ben a little bit here and see what he can do. They both look comfortable. Jordan's faster engine that they were able to get in this morning obviously is going to work. Ben definitely taking a little tighter line, shortening up the track going into turn 3 a bit, but you'll see cool onboard view here going up over top of the crest. The bike starts to spin and slide a little bit. Jordan taking a little wider entry, Ben taking a tighter entry going in the corner. Different ways make the bikes work differently for different riders, but you'll see Ben holds it real tight to the left over here so you can get a straight shot down the roller coaster as this thing starts to buck and bronc everywhere like a wild horse at the Stampede.
Yeah, absolutely. And the way that they are trying to handle these machines around Shubenacadie, Nova Scotia, you kind of wonder whether or not it would wear out the arms, the shoulders, the back, all the rest. And Andrew Van Winkle has said in his first time on Pro Superbike here this weekend that he's used to riding Supersport, and a 1000cc machine around this track is not the easiest thing in the world to kind of rip around until you get a sense for how you can use the power of the 1000cc's to your advantage. As they head back down the hill towards turn number 2, we throw it down to our Bridgestone pit reporter Stacey Nesbitt, who is alongside another member of Team Green.
I'm here with Connor Campbell, who had an unfortunate off yesterday morning. Connor, first off, are you okay?
Yeah, it sucks for sure, but I ended up breaking my collarbone. A little banged up, but yeah, nothing we can really do about it.
Shuby's been a bit of a nemesis track for you. Can you tell us what happened to cause the crash?
Yeah, I was literally straight up and down. I just started to apply brakes and the front tucked and we went down. It was a pretty big hit, but I mean, it is what it is. Not much we can do.
Super disappointing. Sorry to not see you out there, but best of luck for the healing when you get home.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Man, that was definitely a weird hit that he took to just lock your front end up straight up and down, right where these guys are going right now. There is a bit of a transition there, but it's definitely a weird crash, and best wishes to him. Hopefully Connor can come back for the end of this year, or at least get ready for next year.
Yeah, I hope we can get him back on the grid as soon as possible, because we love having a great depth of field. As much as watching the front end is fantastic, the real stories often happen in the midfield here in the GP Bikes Pro Superbike feature class, and Connor has tons of talent. We have seen that in the past as Jordan Zoke on that Kawasaki goes ahead and gets the fastest lap of the race, 107.697, and now Young is wide, so the pressure being applied immediately, and the Van Olders home team Honda will hang on for now, but he has a lot of pressure on that rear tire.
It's so easy to make a mistake going into that turn too. It's so bumpy going in and so tight that Ben just probably ran a little bit wide, and you kind of see he actually ran a little bit wide going into this corner as well. So maybe he's fighting some front end gremlins a little bit, pushing pretty hard. He does feel the pressure from Jordan. Definitely felt like Jordan put in that fastest lap, so he's pushing hard to get his first win of the year.
Yeah, and it's always amazing when we're watching the performance in the, as you say, the front-end gremlins that might be happening on Ben Young's bike. The only person who really knows what's happening on any of these machines is the one who is in the seat, right? As we're watching from afar, whether it's tires going off, any sort of mechanical issue, sometimes there's electronics issues on these super bikes because they're battling through the bumps and all sorts of sensors getting knocked around. So it is a big challenge, and it's a big bike that's leading the way. It's the Van Olders home team Honda of Ben Young. Portions of the Bridgestone Canadian Superbike Championship are brought to you in part by Canadian Kawasaki Motors, Pro Cycle, and GP Bikes, Canada's power sports authority. Welcome back to Atlantic Motorsport Park in Superbike, Nova Scotia, round 2 of the Bridgestone Canadian Superbike Championship season, brought to you by Pro Cycle and Canadian Kawasaki Motors. As the Kawasaki of Jordan Zoke continues to give chase as Ben Young leading out in front. Torrin Collins holding on to third, but obviously has dropped off the pace of this front two. Andrew Van Winkle sitting in fourth, David McKay in fifth as Alex Michel, Mackenzie Wheel as well round out our top 7. For now is now Jordan Zoke down the hill, takes away the lead on lap number 16, and it's Young trying to scoop his way back underneath, but to the inside it will be Zoke who has the advantage over a big bump entering turn number 2, and Zoke hangs on for now. What a move.
That was awesome, right? Jordan set it up actually the lap before. He took a little tight look inside of Ben going into turn 1 and knew he could do it here, and obviously we get the inside of turn 1. That means you're going to have the tighter line going into turn 2, so it makes it hard for Ben to pass him back there.
And we've seen some different lines as well heading down the roller coaster here, Andrew, as you were noticing Young a little bit more able to straighten up the bike.
Yeah, Ben starts up the roller coaster much more to the left, which allows him to stand up a little more. As we take a look here at the onboard, Jordan just outbrakes Ben going in, but Ben always starts quite over to the left going in, and then going into turn 2, Jordan was already on the inside, and Ben couldn't turn back in on him.
See the Bridgestones just screaming going down the hill in turn number 1 as well, and that onboard of the front end chattering away on Ben Young's Van Dolder's team Honda, as Jordan Zoke will come back to the stripe. A couple of back markers up the road here that we'll have to contend with, maybe down into turn 1, maybe to turn 2 as well. Always a tricky spot to try and pick off some of the riders at the back of the field, but you see the gap there, about 2/10 Young back of Zoke.
Jordan looks really strong going in on the brakes into turn 1, but loses a little bit of speed down on the bottom, so hopefully the lap riders here don't really get into the way of this excellent battle.
And it will be Zoke trying to make his way through and do so as quickly and cleanly as possible, as Young, you maybe think, he's plotting exactly how he wants to attack through this back section as well, as we go on board with Young. And again, we see him trying to straighten the bike up as smooth as possible while Zoke is riding the heck out of that thing all over the place.
It's hard to pass anybody here, even if you got a fast bike. The bike bounces around. The guys don't keep the throttle open very long here at full 100% throttle. I think the whole track, they're only full open percent throttle for about 5% of the entire track.
Incredible speed being carried as well into turn number 9, as they'll gain all the way from 70 feet elevation to 91, so up 21 feet, climbing this hill to the highest point on the racetrack, the crest at the back end of top 11. Right there as they wheelie over the top, and a couple of bounces and skips back down into turn 1 they go.
We only got a couple of laps to go here, so it's they're putting everything out on the line here. Jordan seems to have slowed the pace up a little bit into the high 8s, so maybe it's due to the lap traffic here that slowed him up a little bit, but it's allowed Ben to close right back up and try to put a move on Jordan.
And a lot of trust as well involved when you're passing a back marker you're not all that familiar with, that we saw on that last lap. So Zoke and Young find their way through. Thankfully, the battle does continue, and they get a chance to see who is the sharper of the two on this day, as Zoke continuing to push and bounce and ripple over all these skips and stones in Shubenacadie.
Ben's definitely going to try to figure it out quick. I mean, Jordan's been able to follow Ben the entire race, so he would know where Ben has his strong points, and Ben's got to learn that pretty quick on Jordan as to where Jordan is a little bit slower than Ben. You might start to see a pass here going in the carousel.
And he takes a little bit of a look into turn number 9, into 10, and then up over the top of the hill through 11 as well, as Young will wait it out for now. But again, yeah, just teeing things up into turn number 1. And could Young be taking a look here? Big wheelie over the top of the hill, puts his head down, tucks underneath, but pops out of the bubble quickly before Zoke hits turn 1.
Yeah, Jordan looked like he was riding pretty defensively going into turn 1, more in the middle of the track versus on the left side of the track, and keeping a really tight entry to most corners, thinking that Ben's going to try to do a dive bomb into one of these as Ben keeps looking up here into turn 3 where he's going to go, and Jordan will get this bike stand up and hard acceleration over little crest, get some tire spin going down into turn 4 as Ben gets a little closer again on the brakes.
Yeah, closing right up, and the onboard camera of Ben Young almost inside the Hindle exhaust of that number 101 Kawasaki of Jordan Zoke. So Young right there, and has plenty of different spots to potentially make a move, but he's shopping. The question is when he'll decide to pull the purchase, and he does. It's Young making the move on Jordan Zoke in a daring place. That is not a normal overtaking position here in Shubenacadie.
Man, that's the fastest part of the track, and it's a super fun and exciting pass to make, but looked like Ben got a great run at him coming down the hill, starting that apex a little bit more to the left, and being able to keep the bike upright a little bit more and the throttle open a little bit longer than Jordan did at full power.
And now they come back up over the top of the hill as we hit the white flag. It is the final of our 20 laps, and Jordan Zoke now lunging, trying to make the move in. They touch. There's contact, and it is Zoke going off into the grass as he'll have to wait this out at the top of turn number 3 as Ben Young goes through turn 2. And Zoke ready to hit the throttle as quickly as possible, but contact at the top of turn number 1. Was it a little bit too aggressive from the one-on-one into turn 1?
Man, it's never too aggressive when you're trying to go for the win on the last lap of a race. Just really lucky that none of them fell over. But great effort by Jordan to try to make that pass on Ben. And Ben probably learned it from the lap before of where he needed to go to try to block up Jordan.
And it looks like Zoke just settling in and realizing his reality at this point, which is bringing it home in second position. And Young has got to be thinking as he winds through this lap, maybe damage limitation, that he's not exactly sure where that contact happened on the back of his bike and wants to make sure he brings it home in first.
Well, right now through the lap, only 2 corners to go coming out of this one. He'll know he's good, and he'll know that Jordan's really far back. So just bring this bad boy home after a great battle and a couple good passes to finish off. It's a typical AMP win.
The Van Dolder's home team Honda of Ben Young claims the victory. Drama on the white flag lap, but a tremendous battle all the way through from Young and Jordan Zoke. And there is the 26th career victory. History made, tying Steve Crevier for second all time.
Unbelievable race for Ben as, he comes to say sorry to Jordan, and Jordan sorry to Ben for that. They never want to have contact like that going into such a high-speed corner, and they're going to talk about it, shake hands. Hey, they're still buddies after something like that. It's great sportsmanship for a race today.
Torrin Collins stopping to congratulate both of them. He rounds out our podium, but tremendous sportsmanship from Young and Zoke having the discussion at the bottom of turn number 2 as they get to grasp with what a show they just put on here at Atlantic Motorsport Park.
Congratulations again to Ben Young, but nice to see those 3 different manufacturers between Honda, Kawasaki, and Yamaha all on the podium, and nice to see Torrin Collins back.
And unfortunate Connor Campbell couldn't go today, but plenty of great racing as we hear from our winner, Ben Young.
Congratulations, Ben. Phenomenal ride. Talk about that battle with Jordan.
Yeah, that was awesome. It's been a while since Jordan and I have had a good go like that, especially a track like this. It's always awesome. Really happy for those guys to be up there pushing with us. I gave it my all, he gave it his all, and we did get together at the end. Thankfully, everybody was okay. Last time we got together here, it was not okay for him. So thankfully, we're both up safe, and thankfully for us, another win for this Honda program.
Not just Honda, but you've now matched Steve Crevier's overall national win total. Congratulations,
Yeah.
This is amazing.
Thank you, Stacey. Yeah, to be second all-time on the win list is unreal. Obviously, number 1 is Jordan, and that's a ways away. But yeah, we're happy to be tied in there for second on the win list, and we'll just keep pushing for more with this Honda.
Ben Young continues to push and continues to find solutions, answers, and points as he is 15 up on Jordan Zoke here. 3 wins to begin the 2026 campaign. He gets 1 step closer on the top step of the box to claiming yet another Canada Cup. Thanks for watching.